Well, hey there. Do you know what's happening tonight on the Sometime Show? I'm not going to tell you. Just kidding. Y'all, I just cannot even right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene and COVID scammers in India. I just cannot even. Then we're going to talk about roasting a joint when we also roast the news. And the Olympics ridiculous rules. Also, it's Wednesday and we've got a treasure trove of 5-word rants to rant to you about. You're not going to want to miss it. And finally, Tom Jones is here to tell me why this is his favorite show. Whoa, 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 whoa. All that except for the last tonight on the Sometime Show. I feel like yesterday's Amelia Earhart joke upped the stakes so much for me on these all that except for the last jokes that I'm like really trying now as opposed to before. Anyway, we're going to start today's episode with a new segment that will also feel extremely familiar for anybody who's already familiar with my channel. Welcome everyone to I Just Cannot Even Right Now. Do y'all get it? This is a pun. It's a play on words. This is a segment where I show you what's living in my mind rent-free, but in the worst possible ways. I alternatively wanted to call this segment, seriously though, fuck this guy, but mostly I can't because not everyone I'm mad at is a guy, and I don't want to invoke images of fucking any of them. So let's start with the person 100 times more frightening than any Power Rangers villain that I know of. I think I bounced out around the third iteration of the Power Rangers. It's probably when I was about 12. I don't know. Sometimes Congresswoman and full-time human nightmare, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I always know when something... I just love the different ways we spell Marjorie depending on who's editing and checking the script. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene took to Twitter to continue her anti-vax rhetoric this week, and just 3 weeks after apologizing at the Holocaust Museum for comparing Biden's vaccination requests, it wasn't that either. Okay, so it wasn't Biden's vaccination request, it was Nancy Pelosi's vaccination rules in the House of Representatives. I should have double-checked this part a little bit more. Anyway, it was the rules for the House that she compared to Nazi Germany. Then she basically went to the Holocaust Museum and apologized, saying that she was wrong. Anyway, after being upset about that, now she is once again upset for Biden's new stuff. Basically, she retweeted a section of Biden's address suggesting that we're going to go door to door to offer people vaccines. Greene chimed in with this: people have a choice. They don't need your medical brown shirts showing up at their doors ordering vaccinations. Now, to clarify, the brown shirts were the group of people that helped the H-douche. We can't safely say his name on YouTube anymore, but Mr. H rise to power before World War II. And to be clear, no one is proposing forcing people to get vaccinated. The idea is to hit the last stage of people who want the vaccine but cannot be bothered to do anything to actually go get it. The kind of people that like we told, hey, did you know that you can so easily just text your zip code to get vax, and you're going to get a list of places that have vaccines near you right now, but then couldn't be bothered to stop playing Candy Crush long enough to even try. Do people even still play Candy Crush? Is that a thing? I'm addicted to Pokemon Go, but I don't know a ton of other people who still play that. What are people playing now? Is it in the comments? What are people playing? Anyway, this would be people going around offering the vaccine in neighborhoods, not forcing anyone to get it. But it is actually still a bad idea, only not for the reason she thinks. The reason it's a bad idea is because the people that are sent door to door to offer vaccines are going to get shot by crazy conspiracy right-wingers like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, you just know what's going to happen. Marjorie, this is the person who said that the COVID vaccine also, in all of this, is a human experiment and a political tool to control people. Which, by the way, aren't you one of the Stop the Steal people? when you're talking about political conspiracies to control things, even today, she made a tweet for praising Trump for always doing the right thing. That was her words. Where was she when Trump initiated then Operation Lightspeed? You know, that initiative that was created so the vaccine would exist more fast. Man, what am I doing? What is today? I'm broken. That it would happen more quickly and we would be able to get more people vaccinated than ever before in a record amount of time. How is it not a Nazi human experiment when he did it? How can you support Trump and say he always does the right thing and be anti-vax or at least anti-COVID vax? This was his legacy, remember? Also, she thinks it's wrong to get the vaccine. But Donald Trump literally got the vaccine. Pick a conspiracy, Marjorie. Also, if going door to door is comparable to the Gestapo, when is MTG going to come out against the Mormons? I mean, we really should. But anyway, they've been doing it for hundreds of years. Plus, most of them look exactly like, you know, what the H-man thought would be dope. I think I said the name a moment ago too. We're probably gonna have to bleep that, by the way. Dave, we have to bleep the Führer's name. Is that like there's a way, I don't know. Is the Führer, calling him the Führer, is that like a nice thing to call him? Or is that just what the political title is in German? Anyway, I don't care. Move it. Well, I do care. I don't want to call him nice things. Anyway, Marjorie, I just cannot even right now. Went down the wrong pipe. Leave it all in. Also, let's talk about this. Doctors and medical staff in New Delhi tricked thousands of people with fake vaccines. The shots were just a basic saline solution with literally no active COVID-fighting chemicals in them at all. And the scam was pulled off using a hospital's resources for syringes, fake certificates, and everything else they needed to be the worst fucking people in the world. For the record, these are not the doctors. These are the people waiting in line for a fake vaccine. Don't hate them. Hate the people that they were about to see. Remember, India is just now cooling down after massive outbreaks that overwhelmed the country, made the hospitals fill up to beyond the capacities they could handle, and led to a good many deaths. And these fuckers, again, not these fuckers, the other fuckers, are thinking, yeah, let's just sell those hot commodities. Only, let's basically just pump them full of some seawater. This is one of those ones where I seriously wanted to make the segment like, fuck this guy. But in reality, it's several people, and we have no idea how many of them are guys. And I know I'm gonna get flack for this, but don't you just have a hunch that it'll be most of them? Don't we just kind of already know? It's gonna be mostly dudes. All right, I gotta move on. I need jokes, and I am mad hangry. So let's just roast the news. Let's do that. So usually a thing goes right now. Bloop.
Change cameras.
Bloop. Starting things off, it's been a bad week. Starting things off is the controversy surrounding Sha'Carri Richardson, which as I say it out loud, I know I've heard the name all week and now don't think I just said it right. Is it Sha'Carri or Sha'Carri? Do you remember, Dave?
I don't.
All right. Who's been left off the U.S. track team despite her suspension ending before the Olympics even began. Richardson secured her spot with a runaway victory at the Olympic trials last month, however, was suspended after testing positive for THC. And this caused massive uproar regarding the doping committee's rules about marijuana use, with some arguing that marijuana should be legalized as it is in many, as it already is in many states, and the committee stating that it is too late in the process to change the rules now, which sounds like a bullcrap rule because you're the committee. Just do it. You can do, these aren't laws. You could just go, hey guys, did we just change this? We look really bad right now. Like we're kind of penalizing a black woman for rules that are based on laws that were only put into place in the first place for racist reasons. As a committee, should we just fix this? Nope. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Anyway. What we can all agree on, I think, is that this shatters the stereotype that marijuana makes you lazy. Did you see her run? She smoked everyone, pun intended. If that was her on marijuana, I cannot imagine how fast she would be off of it. It's like the opposite of a performance-enhancing drug. I think we should take it one step further, maybe, and maybe we require Olympians to train on marijuana, and then we sober them up for the whole thing, and we have them race against cars at that point. Speaking of marijuana, look at these dogs. Oh, we just had one dog. Okay. With its use being made legal in many places, state police departments all over the country are actually having to get rid of their drug-sniffing dogs. Now, apparently, the trained dogs are not able to discern what specific drugs they've detected, and if they want to investigate or search someone based on a legal marijuana hit, that would be a violation of that person's rights, which has people upset because it has forced the canines out of a job, which, yeah, sure, that's terrible. I mean, I hope they can find something for this dog with comparable pay and benefits. It's a dog, people. They shouldn't even have jobs. Their jobs is to snuggle us and be and by the way, what's the retirement plan for like a drug dog? Is it running in a field and having its belly rubbed all day? That's what I want mine to be, and I can't even afford it. Friggin' drug dogs, better job than I have. Anyway, I guess if this is such a problem, why don't we just train the dogs to start sniffing out racist police? They will never run out of work. Also, in other drug news, because I guess that's what today's about, researchers in Prague have discovered that the methamphetamine, which has been being dumped into waterways, may be turning the fish into addicts. What's worse is what it does to the people who drink the water, considering that's not actually a picture of a trout or of a fish. That's the after photo of a guy who went for a swim in the contaminated water. Damn, that's a lot of meth. Those are two completely different fish. This was supposed to be a close-up of it, and that is a totally different fish entirely. So let's just say, everybody, that this is the guy afterwards. Over in Canada, a property has been put up for sale for $85,000 American, which is incredibly low considering the average cost in Canada right now is about $600,000 for a house. Now, the only problem is this lot is completely submerged in water, as in no one can get into it without scuba gear. With the property manager encouraging potential buyers in the listing to be creative with the space. And while most people would reasonably think, what the hell, what could you possibly do with a property that is completely underwater? This guy thinks it was made completely for him. Brought it back around, had to over-explain the graphic stuff. Great show. Moving on. Creators of Bumble. I never did good on Bumble. Not a fan. I'd never done good on a dating app, though. And now I'm just going to say married. Y'all can make up stuff. God knows the internet does it plenty. Anyway, creators of Bumble have announced they will be opening a restaurant designed for people to meet up in person. Bumble Brew will open in New York City and be a cafe wine bar that will feature live music from primarily female artists. Bumble has requested, though, that attendees be fully vaccinated, as they prefer that any diseases that are transferred, that should be done after you leave the restaurant, not while you're there. But also destigmatize STDs. It's like I want to make the joke, but I feel bad too, because I feel so passionate about the destigmatize movement. But then I also want to go, you need antibiotics. Anyway, in COVID news, children have discovered via TikTok that they can trigger a false positive COVID test by using soda. Though the science is complicated, it has something to do with pH levels or some shit, emulating the proteins or some shit detected in a COVID-19 test or some shit. Welcome to our new segment or some shit. It's not really. Damn, when I was a kid, we just put a thermometer up to a light bulb to get out of school, and then they were like, I don't think your temperature is 160. This takes things to a whole new level, though. Children, while I admire your ingenuity and interest in science, let me say with a loving heart, stop fucking doing this or some shit. There is enough problems between anti-vaxxers and the Delta variant. We don't need you throwing in a Pepsi positive to cause more confusion to this continued COVID clusterfuck. Speaking of children, that is an uncomfortable transition phrase. Speaking of children, the NYPD, who has gained a reputation for continually juking responsibility with grossly overfunded distraction, has decided to face these accusations head on with a giant state-funded gaming truck for children. The huge police truck is filled with multiple gaming consoles and was created by the department to lower childhood crime and encourage police officers to engage positively with the community. That's right. After decades of being told otherwise, police would like your kids to get into a van with a stranger. Also, how awkward would it be to play Grand Theft Auto with a police officer, especially if they're the ones playing? You'd just be like, why are you already so good at this? And how come you only beat up minorities with a baseball bat? In reality, this sounds like it could be a cool program. But do any of us doubt that before long it's just going to be shifted into a program where cops try to get kids to narc on people in their community? NYPD is going to replace stop and frisk with bribe kids for information with Fortnite gift cards. Maybe I'm cynical, but I'm not. This country is a nightmare and the police suck. In other inappropriate police news, to further my point, a Fresno State correctional officer has been arrested after having sex with an inmate. And to make this worse, the officer snuck a phone into the prison to film the incident and engaged in the activity in front of 11 other inmates. But yeah, we should trust law enforcement to take kids into their vans. There really isn't much of a joke here. This is extremely illegal and it's inappropriate. And the power dynamic between a prison guard and a prisoner, that's about as uneven as it can get. And by the way, I already hear the comments trying to excuse this and say things like how it's different because that guard is a woman and she's hot. And I just want to say to you, congratulations, you're a part of the problem. All right, after the break, I might take some meds first during the break. And then we'll be back with our much beloved segment, 5 Word Rants. But first, you're going to see a message from me about me, then more of me right after that. Don't go away. I'll be right back. But also to you, I'll just always be here. Unlike my dad. Hey there, Jimmy Snow coming to you from our new live set for live shows that we've been playing with, experimenting with, looking to do a lot more on Saturdays. But listen, here's what I came to tell you. If you want to support this channel in a really meaningful way that helps us a lot, you can do so for even just $1. Go over and consider signing up for our Patreon. We're actually reworking the perks tiers right now, but you're going to be able to get awesome exclusive things like exclusive after shows to the Sometime Show and other stuff that we're still figuring out, like discounts on merch, access to patron town halls, and more. And it just helps us keep things moving so that I don't have to go back to my old job as a taste tester for lead paint. I can still hear my teeth. Anyway, consider becoming a patron. Link is down below. It helps a whole lot. And we just appreciate you all so much. Oh, yeah. And we're finishing up getting patron credits back on these shows. So you'll also be in the credits. That's nice too. Okay, back to the show, Jimmy. I hope he says something like, thanks, Jimmy, but he probably won't. Welcome back. It is Wednesday. It is time once again. And I got to tell you, we are working hard at... In the past, we've done this 5-word rants, and as we've been growing, we've been like, we'll let a few through that maybe aren't great. Not anymore. These are only the best 5-word rants ever conceived of by anybody in the universe. But let me tell you how we get them. We send out a little texty text to our text list, which you can join by dialing 1-720-459-4905 into your texter, which is not a word people use to describe text messaging app. Don't dial it into your actual phone. You can write hi, then it's gonna send back like, hey, how do you wanna be added to my contact list? And then I literally get your text on this phone. It's pretty cool, actually. I actually really like the app. Some nights I'll just respond to some people and be like, hey, how's things going, everybody? You guys having a good night? Well, I said everybody. It's usually like somebody will give me a good topic and I'll be like, yeah, totally, cool. I gotta do that more. Anyway, so join the text list. What am we doing? Did we do mushrooms today? Not yet. Okay. Let's go ahead and shift the thing over. I know that that's a thing. We've redone our dealio here. Dave, shift me. There we go. Shift me up before you go. And now give me the first 5 words to rant about. Quantum physics proving divinity existence. Oh yeah, the phone number's here also. That's pretty cool. No, they didn't. Quantum physics has not proven the existence of divinity. And the funny thing is this is never something that actually comes from quantum physicists. Occasionally you get a quantum physicist who goes, it's so complex that I just can't understand how it could exist without a God, because there are still theistic ones, but it is not the conclusion of science that is what it most likely points to. Quite the opposite, in fact. Basically, the more we actually learn and can definitively say, the more it seems like the natural world is all that is necessary for existence. Proving the divinity. And you know what's a red flag every time? I was on Talk Heathen recently and somebody brought something up like this. And my response was, I knew you didn't know what you were talking about the moment you said quantum physics. Because the whole reason people like to bring up quantum physics is it is so complicated that without a very advanced training, you likely have no idea what you're talking about. And even with advanced training, you only have a limited idea of what you're talking about. It's like that bad. And so as soon as I always hear like, oh, but quantum physicists have found out, I immediately go like, oh, you're a physicist? Oh, you're not? You're definitely a full shit then. Move on to the next one. Toxic positivity in work culture. I don't know. Between this and next week, let's work on the transition where we don't need it to fade totally in and out between. Toxic positivity in work culture. This is one of those ones that's hard for me to rant about because I assure you I am not positive at my job. Just kidding. First of all, I don't like working anywhere where there has to be a very fake, different social performance than anywhere else. Not to say that we should be able to go to any job and be like, what up, bro? I'll take it to, whatever our regular social performances look like. But an excess of any sense of character and personhood just has to disappear. I can't stand it all. And I've definitely had bosses that come in and it's like, they're almost making fun of you, it feels like, to your face when they're like, it would just be so, oh my God, you're just so good at this. And it's just, I don't know. Is that what you're talking about? The hard part with some of these 5-word rants is I don't screen them. It's more fun for me, I feel like, in the audience, if I don't know ahead of time. They are screened. We do try to pick the good ones, but I don't really always know what the intention of the person is. And in this case, toxic positivity in the work culture, it definitely sounds like a thing that for sure exists. But let's do the next one. Trump suing big tech companies. Is he?
Yeah, we're going after Zuckerberg.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. So we're mostly talking about social media and platforms that create anything that could be critical of him. And remember, this is the guy who was like, we're going to open up the libel laws, okay? So when they print things about you and they're lying, you can win a big bunch of money. And basically what he's saying is they want it to be illegal for you to lie about them if they say it's a lie. So if you come at me and you say a lie about me, which lots of people do, but right now, saying a lie about me, the only recourse I have is if you do it on any of my platforms, I can send you off into the sun if I like, but if you go and you put it on somewhere I don't have control, my recourse is nothing. And unfortunately, even when people lie, that's actually still the best system that exists, because if I just say it's a lie, then I can abuse that and go, when it isn't a lie, call something that isn't a lie a lie. So it's this unfortunate thing. And Donald Trump is just like, Donald Trump will say he didn't say something that he just said. It's wild. I remember when Hillary Clinton confronted him with a lot of this global warming stuff is a scam by China. He said it, and like a couple weeks later, Hillary Clinton brings it up in a debate. He goes, I don't say that. Do you listen to yourself, bud? Do you? This thing is back. Does stress bring this, do I have a pimple under the skin that keeps coming back, or is it a scar? I don't know what it is. Anyway, on to the next. Lack of LGBTQ sex education. My God, why is this still a problem? The biggest thing is like, they're always like, you shouldn't be teaching kids about queer stuff because my kid's straight. First of all, you don't even know that. But second of all, as far as informational goes, what do they think a sex ed class is? Usually it is a class on like objective things that you can back away from and not. It isn't, nobody's putting clinics in front of a bunch of 13-year-olds on foreplay. Oh, and if you blow in the ear like this, isn't that interesting? None of that's happening. I felt creepy even just describing it just now. It's gross. It is to say, this exists, these people exist. And so what you're literally saying when you're saying don't do queer education is don't tell our kids people exist and their experiences are different. It's very frustrating, but it's horrible, the lack of education. Next one.
I know this next one misrepresents you.
Jimmy doesn't support homemakers. I love just when people are just like, he has a problem with X, and so we're going to say that means our version of it. And it's all about what's called charitable listening. People will go, because I see this argument and I think it's tangential to X, I can do whatever I want with it and just say it. And this is just utter and complete bullshit, because I, in fact, do support homemakers as long as that is what that person actually wants. If I were to ever have a child, for example, I don't particularly think that's going to happen, but who knows? If I had a child and a partner, I would actually be stoked to find out that my partner wanted to stay at home with the kid, because I think that is a huge, huge advantage and a huge privilege for kids. So if I could afford to support us both and not have to, that would actually be, especially when kids get involved, something I not only wouldn't mind, but would probably prefer. Also, I don't like doing a lot of chores, so if that meant I didn't have to, pretty cool too. I don't know why I keep doing the Mickey Mouse thing. I care about a person's choice to be a homemaker. And right now, in this country, as a part of a societal culture and as a part of religious culture, it is constantly pushed on women that is the best they can hope for. I was in a Mormon seminary class listening to a teacher tell the girls in there, the most loving and best thing you can do is become a homemaker for your husband and have meals ready for, it was literally telling women, that's the highest calling you can have. And the thing is I'm not saying it's a lower calling. Callings aren't real, but it's not a lower position than any other. But the idea that a person shouldn't be able to have pride in being, I don't know, a lowly cancer surgeon for children, that's not a real title, but shouldn't be as proud of if you're a homemaker, that's BS. Also, there's also a common sort of sentiment out there that being a homemaker is the hardest job there is. That's also just not true. Not even close. All right, next one. Inherent ableism in capitalist systems. Yeah, I mean, I love getting to put on my lefty pants. A capitalist system that prioritizes not the health of a worker, but the efficiency of the worker is going to mean in so many of these systems or in so many of these places that ableist people are just going to be overlooked and not even tried out, because the default is going to go, I want a nice able-bodied person to be able to do X job, Y job. And people have found out, as you've increased diversity in both, in basically every way, where not just people by race, but also people by sexual orientation and by whether or not they are differently abled. I don't know what the right term is anymore. I know I'm differently abled, but anyway, as that diversity has been increased, it actually turns out to improve companies. And so it's because they try to use these silly, like, oh, well, it would just make the most sense to exclude this group of people. There's actually like 100 different angles we could take from on this too. And a lot of it's like, for myself and having autism, the thing that people don't, I feel like, really appreciate is socially, if I'm actually with a person, I am fucking weird. So I either have to put on a performance, and so I had like a salesman performance when I've been a salesman in the past, or it just has to be weird. And a lot of times you will have companies avoiding weird people because we're not doing anything in society to say like, hey, let's bring people that are different in so that neurotypical people, even though they can't feel the same way, they can't necessarily empathize, they can at least be around us and stop making us feel like we have to mask every little thing for their comfort. Anyway, next one. Went the wrong way. Parents making kids internet famous. I'm not a parent, so this is hard for me. I understand the rationale behind a lot. And the funny thing is, though, that a lot of people will talk about like kids should not be on that stuff, but then they don't have a problem with, or they ignore the fact that there's other disasters happening in TV shows or internet series that they like. But I mean, my general sort of, my initial reaction is like, don't make your child the star of something. But if a family has children as part of their stuff, there might be ethical ways to do that. But again, I'm not a parent, so this isn't something that I've really desired putting any deep research into. Obviously, there's stuff about it that makes me feel like it's creepy and kind of shitty to do. And then there's other things that I'm like, I've definitely watched TV shows that have child actors in them. Not child actors. I can't think of a single one that's like focused on a child actor that I watch, but like there's about to be a new season of Atypical, and I am very excited to see that. And there are usually at some point, though the main cast is all over 18. I don't know. Y'all talk about it in the comments. Next one. Increased political apathy on the left. You know what? This isn't even the worst thing that's happening on the left, but yes, this is happening. So political apathy it's basically like, oh, we won, so now we're just gonna count on everything to happen. And the thing that's happening right now is Joe Biden is a better president than Donald Trump, for sure. This is a better position that we've ever been in as far as, this is the most left leader, at least in practice, than we've ever had. Obama, it's actually hard to say which one now is more left, because he's not as worried as we were that he was going to try to appeal to moderates too much. In practice, he actually has been bypassing a lot of that. But we haven't abolished the filibuster, so there's also a bunch of stuff he can't do. So then when he gets anything done, literally the tiniest stuff right now, we give him all of the attaboys in the world. We are celebrating stuff that should have, like, it's kind of like, yes, Donald Trump was particularly incompetent, but it isn't an overconfidence from Biden that is getting certain vaccine numbers actually hit or anything like that. So you have these people on the side that are like, we won, and so everything is great, let's celebrate. And then others that are like, all right, we won, I don't have anything to worry about. Meanwhile, healthcare still hasn't been reformed. It still needs so many fixes. We're not doing almost anything. There's not much that is fundamentally changing, and fundamental change is absolutely what this country needs. And so I understand that there's a lot of restrictions from because the filibuster hasn't been abolished. I also the cynical me thinks that they're going to try and run on that and go like, for once at a midterm, we want to see the party in power, Senate, increase in power, which is typically not what happens. And they're probably going to do guys, we're doing our best. We've done this, and we've done this. And we did all of that without a clear majority or supermajority, but we have to get rid of this filibuster now. Otherwise we're screwed. So what we need right now is for a bunch of people to be voted in. And if you do that, we're going to pass weed. We're going to pass public option. We're going to pass stuff. Unfortunately, that might be all we have left to do, but we'll see. But absolutely apathy on the left. There's also the opposite problem that also exists where it's not political apathy. What would you call it? The thing I hate the most about the left, and I am an actual leftist, is they are more focused on infighting with each other than they are in fighting the other side in a lot of cases. There are these people whose activism is cowardice, and it's basically, I would rather try and micromanage small flaws in a person on my side than I would in actually fighting the other side. And I think those people are cowards. On to the next. Delta variant, easing restrictions, scary. So I will tell you on a personal level, I have gone back to, I don't do in-person things, like basically social distancing. I don't go to restaurants. I kind of was starting to. I had gone to the zoo a couple of times. That I might still do while it's warm, and it's still, you can still keep 6 feet from people. Basically right now, I'm like, if I'm anywhere where I feel like I would have needed to wear a mask before, I'm probably either not going to go, or I'm only going to do it in the instance of it's out in the sunlight and I can still be 6 feet apart from people outside. Because even when COVID was at its worst, it turned out that it was still pretty hard to spread, even in crowds outside in the sun, which was unfortunate because you just can't, well, I shouldn't lament that there were outbreaks from Trump rallies, but you would have thought they would have been much, much, much bigger. And it turns out the sunlight and the heat kind of stopped them. I just hit this little thing on my nose, and now my nose is turning red. So the Delta variant is ridiculous. It is terrifying. And the thing, basically, here's what I have to say to people. If you are vaccinated, yes, you have already done so much and you can ease up on some things. Just don't ease up on everything yet, because you may still be spreading that Delta variant even if you're not getting symptoms. So it's kind of like do more than nothing and don't go completely back to normal. Anything that looks like that it is totally, you wouldn't know the difference between this and pre-COVID, I would avoid. All right, go on next.
Last one.
Overconsumption of material goods. I am I like collecting Pokemon cards. I am super duper guilty of this. I have a feeling that this is something more that wants to be probably along like leftist and communist theory that somebody wants to talk about. And the idea that we actually as a society have a culture of consume, which we absolutely completely do. And that's true. The hard part for me is like trying to balance everything and not feel like a hypocrite, because I like producing. This isn't a material good, obviously. This is entertainment, digital good kind of thing. But I do like, listen, right now I'm like, as soon as, things are doing a little better, maybe save up a little, create some safety nets and cushions. One thing I really want to get into is woodworking. And I've been talking about wanting a wood shop for forever. So I want to make bowls and stuff, but this isn't on that. Nobody's saying don't make wood bowls. This is more of the like, every level of our life right now and our economy is based on people consume so much. And so it's you can talk about it in a literal way, like consumption of food. You can talk about it in how we're cycling our phones so frequently, something I am definitely guilty of. And yeah, I use some justification of like, no, I needed the Pro 12 Max because when I shoot B-roll, which I so rarely ever do, I need that best camera on a phone. And when the iPhone 13 comes out, I don't want to say I'm in a new better now because somebody's going to call me out if y'all see an iPhone 13 on my desk. And that's probably going to happen. I'm losing my voice. I can feel it. I don't know why this is happening. So it's a good thing this was our last one, because why am I losing my voice? I don't understand what's happening. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been a fun episode. Thank you for being there. Everybody who's been so supportive, thank you. Thank you to patrons and everyone who keeps the channel alive, appreciates the cause of this channel and the things that we're trying to work on and do. And with that, I would say fade to black or some shit.